So, God, what is it? Who is it? Are you it? Are you not? Well, in this video, I want to go over how you're actually God in a body expressing itself in a particular way, why it is that I believe this is the case, and this is not coming from me. This is from stuff I've studied, I've experienced, this kind of stuff, and how you can then select how you want to express yourself from this place of source or God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, so that you can start getting favorable results. Because if you embody the consciousness, the frequency of God, of source, do you think that your results would differ than if you're embodying the frequency of something that's more cut off from that source? So ultimately, when we're talking about God, understand I'm not talking about a floating man in the sky or necessarily a being in the same way as you and me. We're talking about an energy, we're talking about source, we're talking about the universe, we're talking about almost like a oneness, something that connects everything that has come from it. And what I'm saying in this video is that we are all, and everything you see around you, is simply an expression of this energy coming about in the particular way it is coming about. This is something that Alan Watts used to say, or did say, in some of his talks that I used to always really resonate with, is that you are the source, you are universe, expressing itself in this particular way. So I'm expressing my source in this particular way, you're expressing it in your way. But it's not set in stone how you express source, right? You can express it in whatever way it is you wish to express it. But for the longest time, we're told it's set in stone, you're this way or you're that way, you can't change, your personality is your personality. Your personality, though, creates your personal reality, and it absolutely can change. And so we are all essentially God, source, the universe, expressing itself in duality in this particular way. Because if you think about it, and you think of God or source or the universe or oneness, that all-encompassing energy, just oneness, oneness cannot experience. Because oneness is all that ever was, and all that is ever going to be, all at the same time. Everything, everywhere, all at once, to quote the movie title. Really good movie, by the way. So if God or source or the universe is that, how can it experience or express itself except in relation to something else? And so the idea is this energy split itself off. It created duality. Duality meaning the realm of experience, right? Because through you and me, I can now experience differences. I can see one person and go, oh, I want to experience more of that or less of that. You know, I can't know down without up or left without right. This is the realm of duality, relativity. And it allows us to express ourselves in whatever particular way we wish. And one way to look at it is we are God expressing itself in this particular way. Another great Alan Watts saying that he used to have is he would give this analogy if you threw a bottle of ink at the wall, and he would say, you know, towards the center, it would be more concentrated, but as you started getting out to the edges, you would get more and more of these complex kind of things, splatters all over the place. And he compared it to the Big Bang, and he said, let's assume that's the way things happen. Well, you believe you're one of these things at the edge, like you're something at the end of the Big Bang, but you are still the Big Bang. You are still the process expressing itself in the particular way that you are expressing yourself right now. You are still that primordial energy of the universe, and as the Big Bang we know was this seemingly singular energy, this oneness that exploded outward into infinite expressions, one of them known as you, one of them known as me. So the reason we're going over this is just to understand that we are God's source, the universe, expressing itself in whatever particular way. But you get to choose, or at least have a very wide range on how you wish to express yourself. And there's a unique experience in being human because we have a prefrontal cortex, we have the ability to think and project and visualize and all these different things. And it is through these powers that we can decide to express ourselves differently. So let's go through this. One of my favorite analogies on how this can work is the buffet analogy. So I want you to imagine that life is like a buffet and experience is like a buffet. So you have all of these different, we'll just say these are really poorly drawn plates, but let's say you have all of these different things at the buffet. But again, this is an infinite buffet. Every possible experience exists. And you're, say, at this part in the buffet. You are deciding to be source expressing itself in this particular way at this point in the buffet. Now there's every other kind of expression, but you're at this part of the buffet. You are experiencing God, source, experiencing this part of the buffet, right? You are a piece of God experiencing that, which then kind of gives that experience back to that source. However, a lot of people, the way in which they are expressing themselves is they feel they have to express themselves in a particular way, like they've always expressed themselves this way, so they have to always keep eating the same thing. And they don't realize that they could easily move to any other part of the buffet. Now, when I say easily, there are certain things, so let's say there's something over here that right now for you are out of range, right? So you're not going to jump from here to all the way experiencing this thing in the buffet. Hopefully you can see that. But if you decide, I don't like this in the buffet, there's nothing stopping you from hopping a couple of lines over where there's different food, there's different experiences, there's different ways of expression. And then from there, hopping over even more and going to this place of expression. And so you could actually end up here in degrees after enough time to where you're very, very different. And now you are source expressing itself in a very, very different way than what you were doing before. And this need not take long. You can be a completely different person. Again, you're still going to be you, right? You know, a lot of people go, I don't want to be a different person. That's not what we're saying. You're not going to be like a different person in the world. You will always be the unique expression of source that you are. But you will be a different version of that, a higher version of that, one coming from something that's closer connected to source, to God, to your higher self, whatever you want to call it. And so you want to think of it like it is this infinite buffet where everything is accessible, and you have all these choices. But again, most people are just sticking to this one thing in the buffet or everything that's in a close kind of area to that one thing. They're eating the stuff in the buffet and they go, I don't like this, I hate this, oh, it's disgusting, as they keep shoveling it into their face, right? And this is how most people experience their life and choose to express. Now, choose we'll use loosely because a lot of people don't understand this is going on. A lot of people don't understand that they are a spiritual being in a human body, right? Or again, source expressing itself through this dualistic realm, right? A lot of people do not understand that. Even if we can understand that intellectually, you know, there are different kind of degrees to understanding that from a level of embodiment. And so it's understandable. A lot of people are kind of believe that that's their lot in life, right? It's just this part of the buffet and, you know, they wouldn't even think of it that way. It's just life is unfair. Things are happening to me. But it's just not the case. You can choose if you don't like the food or the experience. Again, that's what we're relating it to here, of where you are in the buffet. It's say in this area, it's all very similar and you don't like it. There's nothing really stopping you from moving further down the line in the buffet, finding something else and going, I actually really like this. Now understand when we're talking about this, again, a lot of people get this twisted. Well, I can't just jump into this situation or this circumstance because we're not talking about that. This starts at the level of thought, and we'll get into why this is. Thought, hopefully you can see this, and energy. If you can't, I just wrote thought/energy. This happens internally first. You select where you are standing in the buffet of life via your thinking. Again, that prefrontal cortex, that ability to think, that ability to visualize is so powerful and very unique to us and gives us that ability to choose, the expression that we want to experience. Right? And so it's through our thoughts, it's through our energy. You can think of that like your emotions or energy in motion that we choose where we're going to be in the buffet. However, we're going to get into this in just a moment where ultimately it takes a little bit longer for the physical to start coming in after you've been somewhere in the inner long enough. So once you've been in a certain place in the buffet long enough, meaning your thoughts are in a certain direction, you're expressing new thoughts, you are choosing new thoughts, you are only letting in that which serves you, you are in a new level of energy, you're feeling good a lot, you're embracing it when you're not feeling so good, you're accepting it and you're releasing or surrendering. Well, then the physical will start to catch up after enough time. Now, the reason the physical takes longer, and there's a few reasons, but we'll go over this right now, and just to make this clear, this represents the physical at the bottom of this pole, and this represents energy. Also understand that thought is a form of energy. Technically everything is. All of this is energy. But at the top of the pole we have more pure energy. And you can understand energy is very quick. Thought is very quick. If I tell you to think of something you enjoy, you can think of it pretty quick. I want you to think of yourself at a beach. I want you to hear the sounds. I want you to experience that. You can get into that pretty quick. I want you to feel happy and tranquil and loving. Think of a cherished memory you have. Boom, you can think of that pretty quick. But you won't bring it into the physical pretty quick because this is what's called a denser rate of vibration. So understand everything basically on this pole, all the way up and down. And this pole obviously is just a representation. It's not to scale. It's pretty infinite. But these are different modes of vibration. And we could also say frequency of vibration. Frequency in this case meaning speed of vibration. So the lower we go down on the pole, the more physical things become. But these are denser rates of vibration. The higher up on the pole, the quicker the mode of vibration, the frequency of vibration, meaning it's quicker. So when you think of something, it's pretty instantaneous. Again, it's not out in the physical, but it's there, right? Thoughts exist. Your feelings exist. You experience them. They're there just because they're not in the physical world, because the physical world is simply enough energy built up to the point where it's at a slower rate of vibration, a denser rate of vibration, where it shows up in this narrow bandwidth of experience that we call the physical. It's now perceivable in the physical. And the way we bring what we want energetically into the physical is we have to stay in something energetically long enough for enough energy to gather so it can coalesce, it can combine to be brought into the physical. And so expression always starts from an inner world place. It always starts from a level of energy. When you're connected to a level of energy that's associated to source, God, that highest energy, your higher self, what would my higher self do? When you are coming more from that energy, you will have to start bringing about physical expressions of that energy. When you are at a certain place in the buffet, the inner world buffet, long enough, there will have to, by law, be a physical correspondence in your life. If you've ever seen someone do a complete 180 in their life very, very quickly, they've taken a quantum leap in their life, it's because this is what's going on. It seems like almost out of nowhere, a lot of money came in for them, changes in relationship, changes in awareness where they're just so much more in tune. Well, a lot of times this is because, whether they've known it or not, they have gone through this process. They have gone to the place in the buffet energetically where they need to be to make those changes first, and then understood that the physical will come in after. And this is because of a law of the universe that is, in a nutshell, this, that the outer world follows the inner world. This is a law of the universe. The outer world follows the inner world. The outer world obviously being this, again, very small frequency, bandwidth of what we can perceive, known as the physical. The physical appears like it's all there is to us because we're so used to only experiencing that. Start meditating more, start doing more inner work, and you'll start to break that illusion more. You'll realize, holy crap, there is so much more than just the physical. In fact, the physical is only a very tiny percentage of what exists in our reality. The realm of possibility made up in energy, the realm of possibility we're representing in this buffet, the realm of possibility represented by God that is all and has connection to all, right? When you're in this energy, you have connection to all possibilities. There is nothing that is really off limits to you at that point because you're connecting, again, to the all, allowing yourself to now access much more in the buffet. Like we were saying, now there's something up here that's in this exalted place you want to access. You're able to make your way up to that when you're connected more to this energy. When you recognize that you are God in a body, you are the universe expressing itself in this particular way, and you truly connect to that and you embody that, you start gaining access to higher levels in the buffet. If you stay in those higher levels of energy in the buffet, that mode of vibration, a higher frequency. Remember what I said, mode of frequencies? What I always think people saying, you want to be in a higher frequency? Yeah, you want to be in a higher frequency, a faster frequency that gives you access to these higher levels of energy. And if you stay in them long enough, you stay at that place in the buffet, you will start gaining what it is you wish in the physical. By design, by law. It has to happen by law. And again, the outer world will always follow the inner world. It doesn't work the other way around. Everything you see in your physical world is energy. Understand that everything on this pole is energy. This is all of a like kind, just different, varying rates or modes of vibration. Rates meaning speed, the rate of its speed, the rate of frequency. So the lower you go down on the pole, yes, that becomes physical. It becomes physical matter reality. However, this is all still energy. And if you were to actually look at this marker, or even my body, or the desk, or the camera, under the right scientific instruments, you would be able to look at the atoms. And then if you went deeper and looked deeper into the atom, you would discover that the atom itself is made up of mainly empty space and energy. And so the very thing that we call physical is not physical when you get down to its root. In fact, there's a famous quantum physicist, I don't know if it's Max Planck, it might be Werner Heisenberg or Niels Bohr, but one of them basically said that they consider matter derivative of energy, essentially, or consciousness, I believe is the exact word, meaning it derives from consciousness or energy. Matter comes from energy or consciousness. Consciousness just something we could, again, replace synonymously with energy here. Consciousness being that primordial energy, that God, that source level energy. And so this is not just something coming from spiritual textbooks or traditions down the ages. This comes from science too, at least the science that has the courage to look at things with, from a level of truth rather than what the status quo is. And again, you can look into Max Planck, Werner Heisenberg, Nikola Tesla, my God. You want to know the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And he was one of the most brilliant people probably to ever live when it came to understanding the nature of reality, of how this all works. This guy used to dream his inventions and be able to see if they would work in his dreams and then turn them on and off and know what to fix, and then he would recreate it in the outer world, inner to outer world. That's why he was so prolific when it came to not just inventions, but world-changing inventions, right? He understood that. I believe he's actually the one who created the radio, and then someone stole credit from him. But he created tons of things, remote control, all this kind of stuff. A lot of stuff, funnily enough, that had to do with frequency, energy, and vibration, because he knew that connecting to that place, that was a higher expression of God, of source, of whatever else, and he connected to it, right? So keep in mind, you are a spiritual being in a human body. If you don't like using the word God, don't. If you get all kind of religious on me and go like, you're not God, we're not God, da 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 da, then fine. You don't have to use that word. You can say source, you can say whatever. You can just limit yourself. It's up to you. But keep in mind that you are a spiritual being in a human body, right? You've come here to do more than just sit around and pay your taxes and go to work or whatever else. You are source expressing itself in this particular way, but you have free will to express yourself how you choose. And if you choose different things in the buffet, you get your thoughts and energy to a different place, higher up that pole, higher in frequency, right? In rate of vibration, you will see your physical change. It's happening for so many people I work with on a daily basis through my programs. And if you want help with this, we have a program called Mold Your Reality. This is a monthly program where you get mentorship with me. We do coaching calls every single week. You get a program that has helped so many people. I'll pop up some of the results. We've only been going for about a month or so right now, and the results are flying in because this is essentially what we're helping people do. We help them stay accountable. They're in a loving, supporting community of people who are midwives to their dreams. It's so powerful that people underestimate this, being in a true vetted community with really loving people who are encouraging them, supporting them, promoting their wins, everything. And so I invite you to check it out. We've made it a very low price, so basically most people can afford to do it. And again, if you just engage with it, you're going to start earning more money. You're going to start having more of those physical things that you want in your life. So check it out. First link down below, Mold Your Reality. Anyway, I would recommend going to watch this video next if you want to keep going with the YouTube University stuff here. But however, if you want to watch another one that's going to help you with everything we've talked about today, go check this one out next.